What's going on and what's happening, and welcome into the College Football Show presented by AT&T. Treavor, Scales, Harry Douglas. Man, that was not a hot start, was it? That's tough.
See how I cut my eyes at you, right?
Listen, I understand why, but in any case, I'm going to move on before I get my eyes cut off.
Last time, Treavor.
No, you know what? That's exactly right. Christine Williams, I won't mess that one up. We upgraded the seat behind the bar. That's for dang sure. Shout out Gary Stricey, but you have been replaced, at least for now. I'll tell you that much. But in any case, our job here on the College Football Show presented by AT&T is to take you through all things past, present, and future for Week 9, and it begins with talking a little football. For the third straight week, an AP Top 10 team has lost to an unranked opponent, and that AP team to fall this week was Oklahoma. A tough fight for the boys down in where's Manhattan, Kansas. They were taking on Kansas State, and the number 5 team in the nation goes down in upset fashion, and it was a struggle for most of the game. It was a matter of Kansas State just finding a way to hang around, doing their thing offensively, running the ball right down the Sooners' throat. Jalen Hurts was not to be outshined. He did his thing. I want to make sure that's absolutely clear. He was 19 for 26, 395 passing yards, had 3 rushing touchdowns to go along with it. But really, it was just a matter of Kansas State just taking advantage of what they knew they did well, Harry.
Well, I'll tell you this. It was just today I was about to rave about that Oklahoma defense and how they've been doing things great by committee, and they lay an egg. But the turnovers for Oklahoma really hurt them. The interception by the receiver throwing the pass on the trickery play.
Yep.
Jalen Hurts had a fumble, but he didn't lose it. It had another guy fumble. They actually lost it. And when you have those turnovers against these teams that are not so good, they're going to result in losses, and that's what happened to this team from Oklahoma today.
And I will say, yes, you're absolutely right in that the offense didn't give them everything that they absolutely needed. But when you score 41 points, you would expect your defense to be able to hold up something. That run defense, again, was just absolutely poor. We saw gap schemes all the way up and down the field. We'll get into the top performer out of this game in a second. But what you saw from them just as an offense, bullying the Sooners, just absolutely having their way on the line of scrimmage and going forward and doing whatever they wanted to do. A late push from the Sooners just wound up not being enough. An onside kick, they ended up getting called back despite the Sooners actually recovering it. But again, it was just about the Wildcats playing bully ball at home.
Well, they owned the line of scrimmage. That was offensively and defensively. They pushed the guys around. Gibber had a great rushing game for Kansas State, for the Wildcats. And when you get down big on the road against teams like this, these things are susceptible to happen.
Yes, and so, again, to kind of go back just a little bit, we saw a shot of Jalen Hurts there as the time wound down and everything was called back as far as that onside kick goes. Shout out to Jalen Hurts. He did perform really well.
Yeah, he did his thing.
He did his thing. And he was the calmest under pressure when it came to that. You heard the reports on the sideline just saying how cool, calm, and collected he was throughout the entire time. But it just wasn't enough. Quick question for you, and we will get into the next segment in just a second. But I want to know, has Jalen Hurts' Heisman campaign been ruined absolutely for you?
No, I don't think so, because like you said, he had a great game today. And one thing Kansas State did, that they didn't allow them to stay on the field that much. They kept him off the field. It's what you want to do when you have a Heisman candidate. Keep him off the field as much as possible. That's what they did. But when he was out there, he shined.
He did.
I just wish they could have got the ball to CeeDee Lamb a little bit more.
There's no question about that. Kansas State's best defense was just keeping that offense off of the field, essentially. And a lot of the way that they did that was the best performer presented by AT&T, and that is one Skylar Thompson. This man had 4 rushing touchdowns all the day. It was a problem. We talked about the gap scheme that they were able to run up and down the field, but it was also quarterback draw. Him electing to kind of pull the ball down and just the physicality that he brought to that Kansas State offense was unmatched.
Well, I'll tell you, whenever you have a quarterback run a quarterback draw, and you're one-on-one with your safety, your starting safety, and your starting safety cannot make that tackle, it's going to be a long day. A QB should never win that matchup unless it's Jalen Hurts or Justin Fields or guys of that nature. But Skylar Thompson, shout out to you, man. Hey, put him in the Heisman race. I'm just kidding, y'all. Don't jump on me.
I'm very happy that Skylar Thompson is getting some shine.
Okay.
Right? This is a good kid.
Yes.
And he has a really good story. So Skylar, his mom actually passed away when he was really young. Okay. On the anniversary of her passing, he verbally committed to Kansas State. So it's like a big deal for him to be at Kansas State. He's a really good kid, so I'm just glad he's getting some shine.
Man, that's a beautiful thing. I was getting ready to read off like a passing stat line or something.
We'll just end it on that.
Completely irrelevant. No. Kristen, thank you for the button on that highlight. Thank you so very much. That's a beautiful. See, Gary, just stay on the road. We good, bro. We good. We are so good. As we move on to the college football show presented by AT&T, the Ohio State Buckeyes taking on the Wisconsin Badgers. Number 3 taking on number 13, and I think we expected this to be a lot closer. But the man you see on your screen, Chase Young, was a big part of the reason why it was not close whatsoever as far as the Buckeyes' effort goes.
Well, you say the man that's on that screen, I say the machine that's on that screen, because this guy had 4 sacks today, 2 forced fumbles, TFLs, along with 5 or 6 tackles. He is a grown man, and he is making his case for a Heisman push, also to be the number 1 pick in this coming up NFL draft. But I tell you, when it comes to Ohio State, they have guys at every level on that defense that can go in the first round.
Without question.
You have Chase Young.
Yep.
You have Malik Harrison.
Yep.
And you have Jeff Okudah.
It's just
all those guys.
That's what gets you to be the second leading scoring defense in all of football, right? Like, that's what this matchup was. It was number 1 in Wisconsin taking on number 2 in scoring defense, and clearly the Ohio State Buckeyes had the prospects at each level to kind of make sure that sort of reigned supreme. Jonathan Taylor just doesn't like playing the Buckeyes, right? Like,
I'm glad you brought up Treavor, because
go ahead.
I was so disappointed in JT.
Were you?
Because the weather made it so
inclement weather, right? Like, you're supposed to expect to run the ball.
You have to run that football. You have to pound it. And coming into the game, the Buckeyes were the ninth against the rush.
Yes.
On the other side, Wisconsin was number 1.
Of course.
They didn't handle the rush.
Something had to give.
Wisconsin could not rush. They did not win the line of scrimmage. The guys for Ohio State were in the backfield all day. When you have a quarterback like Cohen who can't throw the ball downfield or give you that extra that you need from the running back position, it's going to be harder for Jonathan Taylor. But if you're a Heisman candidate, you want harder. You want things to be tougher, because when you win a football game and you show out, it means that much more. It pushes you that much in front to be a high draft pick and to make a case for winning the Heisman.
You certainly want to rise to the occasion, and any chance you get when it comes to big-time nationally broadcast games against the best tier of competition, that's when you want to shine. Unfortunately, Jonathan Taylor did not do so, but somebody that did, his counterpart for the Buckeyes, that is J.K. Dobbins. This man went absolutely off on the day. He becomes the first Ohio State player to rush for 1,000 yards in his freshman, sophomore, and junior year. He's only the second Ohio State running back to rattle off 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons.
Wow.
The only person to win 2 Heismans in his career, and that is one Archie Griffin. So he is in rarefied air when it comes to playing the running back position at Ohio State, and really nationwide. He just doesn't have the opportunities that a guy like Jonathan Taylor has, because Justin Fields has to spread the wealth to all of the different pieces that he has around him, and not to mention he got to get his own too.
But I'll tell you this, who does he remind you of running the football?
I think you had a good. I'll let you deliver this punchline because you had a great point on this one.
He reminds me so much of Ezekiel Elliott running the football. If I'm not mistaken, they wear the same number, right?
I believe so.
Same number. His style. He's strong. His balance. He has the speed.
It's a violent running style,
and
right?
You've seen a couple runs today from J.K. Dobbins where he was actually trying to punish DBs and run them over at the end and flexing his muscles, showing them that he has been in the weight room. Y'all see me. You see me, Christine. He imposed his will today, and that's what they need going forward from him, because I know teams are they're going to crack down. It's getting to the nitty-gritty time. They're going to crack down. So J.K. Dobbins, when you need it the most, the run game was very efficient today against the number 1 rush defense in the NCAA right now. Talking
about rising to the occasion, like we mentioned, which unfortunately did not happen for the other Heisman candidate, Jonathan Taylor. Quick little note before we move on from this 38-7 win by the Ohio State Buckeyes. Does Ohio State have 3 Heisman candidates on one roster?
Listen, I'll tell you this. For people who do not have Chase Young in the Heisman race, you are crazy.
Make the case. So today, 6 tackles, 5 TFLs, and 4 of them were sacks. Make the case.
Listen, this young man, he's quick, he's fast, he's violent, he's great with his hands. All great pass rushers have numerous of moves. He has a strong move, he has a counter move, and he can beat you with speed, he can beat you with power. And I'm telling you right now, NFL executives, NFL owners, NFL GMs are slobbing out of the mouth right now
without question.
For Chase Young, because this young man is very talented, and the sky's the limit. Well, the sky's not the limit because somebody walked the moon before. So The ceiling is high for him. That's all.
Ceiling is the roof, to coin Michael Jordan. We'll go with that. That'll work. So to kind of move on as we move through the college football show presented by AT&T, we check in on the Auburn LSU tilt that's going down right now. They are in the fourth quarter. It feels like LSU has kind of gotten a handle of this one. And we talked about it before when Bo Nix went into the swamp. It was the first time that we saw Bo Nix really look like a true freshman. It looked like a repeat offense when it comes to him going down into Death Valley. There were a couple situations where the Auburn Tigers were pinned down near their own end zone. And honestly, I question a bit of the play calling from Gus Malzahn, because there was one drive that started at 2. It was 3 straight pass plays. There was another drive that started near the 1. It was 2 pass plays with a run sandwich in between. I understand that situationally, that's not necessarily, it's pretty much one of the only things that you can do. Yep. But I also question your knowledge of your personnel, because you have an 18-year-old kid sitting back there who is probably in the loudest area of the entire stadium, all that noise rattling around, and you're not necessarily putting your guys in a position to succeed. Well,
I'll tell you, coming into this game, Bo Nix was only completing 56% of his passes. For a D1 program that's ranked in the top 10, that is horrible.
That's not great.
That was horrible. And when you're backed up, I'm not throwing the football. I'm running that football off and see what I can do to get some room for my punter, because LSU defense, they're stout.
Yes,
and I'll tell you this, on the LSU side, Joe Burrow, he's very impressive to me.
Yes, he 32 for 42 today, 321 yards, threw his first interception since the Texas game, and is still, again, racking up numbers as we speak. Again, about 5 minutes remaining, LSU up 23-13.
Well, those guys, they have playmakers all over the field. You have Chase, you have Jefferson, you have Edwards, Hilaire. He's playing good right now for them, and I think down the line, I think Hilaire is going to be a key piece for this LSU team against Alabama, who's good in their secondary, so they may be able to contain those receivers a little bit more. But right now, I'll tell you, Auburn, their defensive line,
real.
Listen.
More than real.
Davidson and Big Brown are grown men. It was a little shaky. It started shaky for LSU, and Auburn was in the backfield just about every play to start this football game.
And that's the thing, like, their strength really is in that front four when it comes to the Auburn Tigers. And they set up shop in your backfield. And frankly, they have still been able to do so. It's not as if they've been ineffective throughout this entire game. It's just a matter of the fact that Joe Burrow has been able to kind of get the ball out quickly, which is essential when you're playing against a strong pass rush like that, making the right completions, and they're just kind of holding the ship together, whereas Bo Nix and them are just essentially falling apart, right? Like, it's, again, looking like a true freshman, and that's what it boils down to. When you can make that guy look like a true freshman, that's how you kind of get to the Auburn Tigers. So as we continue to roll on through this college football show presented by AT&T, check back in on the Big Ten. Penn State taking on Michigan State, and it has been a dominant effort from the Penn State Nittany Lions. They go all off into East Lansing and hand Martin D'Antonio another loss on the season. This Nittany Lions team is in position to kind of insert themselves into the conversation. They still have a gauntlet to go through when it comes to the Big Ten East, but there's still some noise that they could make, at the very least, just ruining somebody's season.
What I love about this Penn State ball club is the relationship between Sean Clifford and KJ Hamler. These guys have known each other since they were in high school. When Hamler tore his ACL, the first person to contact him was Sean Clifford. They made the decision to both go to Penn State together, and you can see it on the field. These guys have grown together. They're making plays together, and they have this Penn State team undefeated right now. But on the other side of the ball, they have two defensive ends. Gross Matas, and they have another guy who is a grown man in Shaka Tony. Those two guys both coming into this ball game, 5.5 sacks apiece. So watch out for those guys down the line, and they have a game coming up soon against the Ohio State Buckeyes that I'm really looking forward to.
You got to, right? 2 undefeated teams, theoretically, that will square off at that point in the season, and that's one of those ones that you got to earmark and say, is this sort of going to determine who our representative is going to be out of the entire Big Ten Conference at this point, because it feels like we still have to see whether or not Minnesota is going to be somebody that we're going to have to deal with. They are still 7-0. They're still rolling. As a matter of fact, I believe against Maryland today, they have just absolutely trounced their schedule, which hasn't been much. But again, you take advantage of the schedule that's laid in front of you, and they have done so. So we'll see exactly who represents the West. Minnesota seems to be the school there. Yep. Out of the East, it's between Penn State and Ohio State right now, and we'll see how that shakes out as the season moves along. And as we continue here, let's preview a little something. It's something different that we do here in the Talking Football section. We're actually going to look forward a little bit. A game that goes down at 7:30, or actually, I believe it just kicked off right at about 7. Bama taking on Arkansas, and Tua is out with the ankle injury. He had the tightrope surgery on that ankle on Sunday. Mac Jones is a redshirt sophomore out of Florida who's supposed to step in and kind of command this ship. He's got plenty of weapons around him. What's he got to do to make sure that he just basically doesn't screw this thing up for the Crimson Tide?
Well, I'll tell you one thing Nick Saban is going to do. He's going to make sure he doesn't allow Mac Jones to screw the game up. He wants him to protect the football. He's not going to put him in situations to mess up. But when you have a plethora of playmakers like they have in the receiver position, and like I said before, 4 guys who could possibly go first in the first 2 rounds of the NFL draft, and you have a running back who can run the football and catch the ball in the backfield, you have to be efficient.
And that's the thing that I think helps him out, right? Like, you still do have a run game that we haven't seen much of this season, but it's not like it's not there. Najee Harris is a real one. He'll get you what you need whenever you need to get it to him, and he can certainly be a safety valve for Mac Jones, who's just stepping in for his second start, I believe, in his entire college career. So we'll see exactly what goes down. We'll keep you posted on exactly what is going down here on the College Football Show presented by AT&T. Again, Alabama and Arkansas have just kicked off, but I kind of want to bring this thing full circle from the standpoint that we reviewed a lot of the teams that have potential to wind up in our college football playoff at the end of this year. But we got to kind of talk about, as this halfway point kind of moves through this college football season, about what the top 6 is for each of us here on this college football show. So do we know who we starting with? We're starting with you. The guest always gets the floor first. I knew it wasn't going to be. It was just between Christina or
That's what I'm
Harry.
talking about.
So, Harry, let's talk a little bit about your college football playoff top 6 as far as this halfway point goes through the season.
I'll say number 1 for me is LSU. They're the only team in the country that has 2 top 10 wins. They're probably going to win today, so that'll be 3 already, a little past the midway point. Number 2 is Ohio State. They're stout on defense, offense, and special teams. They're playing very well. Number 3, Alabama. I'm interested to see if Mac Jones can get this thing rolling and keep afloat while Tua was out. If Tua can't come back for the LSU game, they may be dropped out also. Number 4, you have Clemson. Clemson is a team that I think Trevor Lawrence is struggling right now.
Yes.
But the most important player on that team for me is Travis Etienne.
Yep.
Number 5, Penn State. We've seen what they're doing. Number 6, Florida. They idle this week. Next week they have Georgia and Jacksonville, which is a big game, the largest cocktail party. I think that's what they call it.
Yes,
so
sir.
We're going to see what they can do next week.
Down there in Jayville. And I got to kind of ask you, because I do want to just get your true mindset behind. Not only did you have LSU ahead of Alabama, but it was also Ohio State. And I think, I can get with you in the 1 or 2 slot, but I think for the 3, that's where I start to have a little bit of a question as to why the Crimson Tide end up that far down on your top 6.
Well, I'll tell you this. They don't have an impressive win this year. When you look at Ohio State, they thumped Wisconsin today.
Yep.
When you look at LSU, they have 3 top 10 wins if they finish what they're doing today. So that's why I have those 2 teams. And I think right now Ohio State might be the most complete football team in the entire college football. That's why I got those guys 1 and 2.
You talked about the prospects at each level of that defense, and not to mention we already know, we've talked ad nauseum about what they have offensively, that they are just a load to deal with, frankly, each and every given week on the college football schedule. But when it comes to my top 6, we can go ahead and fire that up. Alabama at the top spot for me, because frankly, and you criticized me for this point earlier. We can kind of get into it a little bit now, but I really don't think that they've disproven. They haven't proven a reason to be dropped out of the top spot for me. LSU at 2, because similar to what you said about Ohio State, they've shown an ability to win a lot of big games, 3 top 10s like you mentioned, and an offense that has really just been revitalized completely. Ohio State in the 3 slot, they are one of the most complete teams that we've seen on a Saturday by Saturday basis. Clemson in the 4 slot, because they're undefeated. They've had a couple trip ups in the schedule. Trevor Lawrence, like you said, questionable decision making to this point in the season, but they are still winning football games. Penn State slides up into that 5 slot. They're on the outside looking in, and that 3 and 5 slot will face off. That'll shake a lot of things out for me in this top 4. And then Florida actually in the 6 slot, because again, what they did when they went into Death Valley and played played LSU as closely as they did for the first half. I know LSU ended up pulling away, but they've shown at the quarterback position, at the very least, that they aren't as unstable as they were with Felipe Franks at the helm. Kyle Trask kind of gives them just a middle road that isn't necessarily going to have the peaks that Felipe Franks brought your offense, but he's certainly not going to tank it the way that he had an ability to do, unfortunately. So that's my college football playoff top 6 as we kind of get into this midseason point. But when it comes to Christine Williamson, I would like to get your take on what you got for the top 6 to this point.
Okay, so I feel like I have to defend my top 6 because
That's not a good start. No,
definitely not a good start.
Very low.
Before I saw the TCU Texas score. So
Okay.
I have Oklahoma at number 6.
Woof.
Because I'm not willing to let go of OU in the CFP rankings just yet. Okay, I stand really hard for Jalen Hurts. But now looking at the Big 12, I honestly just really don't know what the heck is going on. Okay, so my top 6, Alabama at number 1, LSU 2, Ohio State, like you said, I feel like they're the most complete team. Clemson at number 4, Penn State, and like I said, Oklahoma. I stand so hard for Jalen Hurts, and I want him to win the Heisman. I want him to win a national championship. Harry, you're looking at me real crazy right now. I can't let it go. I don't want to let it go.
I'm
But
curious.
now, like I said before the show started, I'm like, is the Big 12 just not good this year? I'm not exactly sure.
I have a question.
Yes, go.
How could you put Oklahoma ahead of Florida or Georgia?
Okay, well, so I stand for Jalen Hurts. And then also, I'll take Jalen Hurts in an Oklahoma team over a Florida team right now.
Okay.
But like I said, I'm not
That's
really
reasonable.
sure. I'm not really sure if the Big 12 is good at football right now.
And that's
just
about
not
the
sure.
realest way
I'm not
you
sure.
got to put that. And I think, too, when it comes to just what we have outside of, I think, our clear 4, it does get a little messy because of the transitive property losses that you kind of get into about who lost to whom and who's going to end up beating whom down the schedule and who ends up taking on whom down the line as we move through the college football season. So there's a lot to still shake out.
I have one more question.
Go ahead, do your thing.
How do you I'm stuck on this. How do you take Oklahoma over Notre Dame, though? Who lost to Georgia?
Okay. Okay. How do I take Oklahoma over Notre Dame? I feel like Notre Dame is independent. So, I mean, I know that they play tough teams, but I feel like I don't want Notre Dame in the college football playoff again.
Oh, my goodness.
They've worked their way out of the conversation.
The hate is real.
They've worked their way out of the conversation.
The hate is real.
Game
right
is
now.
the game.
I stand really hard for Oklahoma. I want them to pull this off.
That's fair. Like I said last week, Jalen Hurts is my Heisman candidate. Like he's the front runner right about now. Just again, we talk about the numbers that one puts up combined with storyline. That's one of those ones that you look at and say like that's an easy pick as far as the Heisman
So with them losing
Trophy
today,
goes.
you would take Jalen Hurts right now over undefeated Joe Burrow?
No.
Okay.
No.
I just wanted to make sure.
Who I like.
I told you I like controversy. I got to bring controversy to the show.
And
now.
no, listen, I appreciate you asking the question because these are the things that we like to get into. But I think as far as who is most deserving, it is Joe Burrow. But who I like is Jalen Hurts.
Okay, cool. That's reasonable. I respect it.
Got to.
Yeah, I respect it.
Okay, so speaking about what's going on in the Big 12, we really don't know. TCU in Texas, right? Texas came in at number 15 and then lost this one in Fort Worth. First, Max Duggan passed to Jalen Rigger for 44 yards for a touchdown. Second play, Max Duggan again runs for 11 yards for a touchdown. And then finally, because TCU is so excited about beating a top 25 team, they storm the field. We talked about this before.
This has to stop.
Harry does not like when people storm the field.
This has to stop.
He doesn't like it.
What's
What's
the issue that you have with it here? Because I don't see nothing wrong with people being excited.
I'll tell you this. If you have been a program who has won before,
Yep.
has been ranked in the top 10 before,
Yep.
which if I'm not mistaken, I think TCU was at some point.
Yep.
I believe
they
they
were
were
pretty
ranked in
good,
the top
like 2
10
years ago.
A few years ago. I don't think you should be storming the field. Act like you've been there before. That's just like when you score a touchdown. Act like you've been there before.
But
Man.
if you're not there right now, and you beat a team that is there right now, that's
They
pretty
beat
exciting.
Texas.
But they're number 15.
I'm so disappointed in Texas right now because I'm disappointed in Tom Herman. I'm disappointed in Sam Ehlinger. I'm disappointed in Colin Johnson because these guys are not performing the way they're supposed to perform.
That's true.
And putting their players in positions that they're supposed to put. Last year, after the Sugar Bowl victory, what did Sam Ehlinger say?
All the talk, yep.
We're back. We're back.
No, you're not.
Correct. Still a long way.
You're not there yet.
Still a long way to go for Tom Herman's program. What else we got going on in the Big 12, Christine?
Next up is Oklahoma State and Iowa State. Iowa State loses to Oklahoma State 34-27. Oh, we're on a different.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah, no, we're checking in on Michigan. Shake Patterson checking out. He's warming up against Notre Dame. That's our primetime game that we'll get into a little bit as we move on this college football show presented by AT&T.
Why are you smirking?
I always smile.
Treavor smirking.
I'm always smiling. What you mean?
I love it, man. I love it.
Listen, Treavor Scales, Harry Douglas, Christine Williamson rolling with you here throughout week 9, getting you prepped for all things past, present, and future, going down in the college football world. And the future aspect of this here show is the primetime matchup that we like to get into. When it comes to the Notre Dame and Michigan matchup, that is one of the headliners on ABC. You can also check out number 4 Clemson taking on Boston College on ACC Network. And going down right now, number 1 Alabama taking on Arkansas over on ESPN. So that is your primetime slate for the evening. Make sure you get all of that in. We are here to enhance that viewing experience. So if you want to throw one of them games on there, have us on your phone or whatever, we got your second screen viewing experience here on the College Football Show presented by AT&T. And as we continue to roll on through our primetime preview, I want to open up discussion about the potential for Notre Dame. You kind of made a little bit of a case for them to get into this college football playoff. What exactly is it going to take for them to wind up in the top 4 at the end of the season?
Well, I'll say right now they have to win big every game that they play in from here on out because they don't have a staple team outside of Michigan that they're going to be playing the rest of the season. So they have to win big. They have to win very, very impressive. It can't be any sloppy play from Notre Dame. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to come out tonight against Michigan and show the world on national TV why you belong in the top 4 towards the end of the year.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot for them to kind of have those statement wins and those statement performances because, again, like you said, they're going to kind of fade into the darkness given the primetime matchups that we're having that are setting up within the Big Ten, within the SEC. All of the eyes will likely be there, but as long as they continue to take care of business, we've seen, again, 3 weeks in a row that AP Top 25 teams have lost to unranked teams. There's no telling what could happen going forward as much as we say that these things are sort of set up to just kind of ride out and we can say, oh, Ohio State will be undefeated by the time they face Penn State, or Penn State will be undefeated by the time they run into Minnesota, or same deal for Minnesota. We peg all of these teams to kind of continue to roll on, but everybody gets caught slipping every now and again on a Saturday. You never know what exactly is going to shake out so that you can kind of get a playoff picture later in the year, and that's exactly why the committee doesn't end up voting on this thing until about 8 weeks in.
Listen, they need Georgia to win out. They need Georgia to win out. And I say win out during the regular season.
Okay.
They can afford Georgia to lose in the SEC championship game because if Georgia wins the SEC championship, Notre Dame has no shot.
And okay, no, and that's exactly what it feels like, especially as an independent that will be sitting that conference championship weekend. Like that is the biggest thing that they could have happen for them, and they're going to need a lot of other members of the top 25 ahead of them to drop out, take a second or first loss in order for them to get back into the conversation.
That's right.
Let's shift the focus a little bit to the other side of this matchup in Michigan, and I think the question there is,
I've been waiting for this one too. I've been waiting for this.
He done sat up a little bit and got himself riled up. Real quick, give me your sort of just unpack the program of Michigan and its state of being right now.
It starts with the head coach. It starts at the top. Worry about your ball club. He's had times where he's talking in the media about other coaches, other teams. He's sending letters to parents about, hey, I'm not going to the NFL. This is this. Focus on the now. Focus what you have to do right now. I think that's Jim Harbaugh's problem. I think that's one reason why Michigan is struggling right now because he is so focused on so many outside things to the point of where he's not giving his 100 undivided attention to his players in his ball club.
And I think one thing that is actually working for the Michigan State Wolverines is that in last week's matchup, even though it was a loss in Happy Valley, I at least saw some identity from the Michigan offense. At the very least, Shea Patterson had a command of the offense. He was down 21-0.
That's the first time this year.
Correct. And that's the very first time I've seen any semblance of identity for that program. But again, it's at least encouraging in that aspect. So do you think that Jim Harbaugh can survive another loss to Ohio State, for instance?
Jim Harbaugh cannot survive another loss this season, period.
Really? So he has to win out absolutely.
He has to win the rest of his games this year.
Think
about it. They almost lost to Army.
Yeah.
They almost lost to Army this year.
We saw a little bit of that B-roll there where it was a matter of just untimely turnovers and just poor play at the quarterback position that wound up them being in a game that was much closer than it really needed to be. And we talked about a lack of identity on offense. That's exactly what transpired in that matchup as well.
All right, I have a question for you guys.
Talk to me.
How do you feel?
Us.
How do you feel like Jim Harbaugh stacks up against good or great Michigan coaches? How do you feel like he stacks up?
I think
coaches.
I think he's last.
You think he's last?
Because
last of the greats?
You brought Jim Harbaugh in there to get Michigan, get the program over the hump, right?
Back to where they used to be.
Yes. They have not defeated Ohio State one time.
Okay.
Have they been to the college football playoffs?
No, they have not.
That's why you brought Jim Harbaugh there. You can bring anybody else in to do what Jim Harbaugh's doing right now.
No, that's what it feels like at this point. Like you could go pluck, heck, I think I saw Damian Woody or somebody on Twitter suggest even PJ Fleck stepping into that role, given his performances and what he's done with not only Minnesota, but them being undefeated, but also Western Michigan before he was at Minnesota. This is just something that we're going to be stuck in cyclically for that Michigan program, in that they're never going to be satisfied until they beat that team up north, or they will be the team that comes down to Ohio State and actually runs the table for once and actually gets back on the right side of that rivalry.
But they don't have the athletes. When it all boils down, when it comes to recruiting, they do not have the athletes that Ohio State have. They never will. I don't care what anybody says. When people look at Ohio State, they say, okay, let me see, Ohio State and Michigan. 9 times out of 10, the kid's going to choose Ohio State. And that's where the athletes are. That's why they're the number 2
facilities and all that stuff.
That's true. I will say, though, I have a fun stat for you guys.
Let's go.
All right. Jim Harbaugh, I'm not saying he has a higher win percentage, okay? Don't hear me saying that. I'm saying Jim Harbaugh currently averages more wins than Bo Schembechler and Lloyd Carr did at Michigan.
How many undefeated seasons did those teams have, did those coaches have?
I mean, I didn't look that up.
Listen, I'm here to bring another dimension. You know what I'm saying, Treavor?
I think
Lloyd Carr was there for 13.
And that's the thing, right? Like you understand the sample size is a bit smaller, but
it's a lot smaller.
That also does put into perspective for not only us but also the fans out there that want Jim Harbaugh's head on the platter, right? You have to also understand that you're not necessarily devoid of any wins in a season.
Exactly.
You're just not performing to the championship level that you expected for Jim Harbaugh to bring you to.
Yeah.
There's just an understanding that you have to come to that realization.
You didn't bring him in just to get wins.
You're not.
You brought him in to beat Ohio State. You brought him in to win a national championship.
Correct.
So I don't care about records, wins. If you don't beat Ohio, they can win 4 games. If they beat Ohio State, Jim Harbaugh's job is saved.
All is well. That is simply put. That is that's about as simply as it can be put. So this is a rivalry matchup of just a smaller proportion than what it is to the Ohio State game and all of that thing, but it is still a rivalry matchup. And we have representatives. We've been talking a lot of Michigan, but let's get the Notre Dame angle from this. And I got to welcome in the homie, Mike Golick Jr. He's somewhere. Matter of fact, just somebody show me Mike Golick Jr. so I can hear from the homie.
What's up, guys? Checking in from the Denver airport here. The above ground part, not the below ground New World Order stuff or anything like that. But let's get hype. It's Notre Dame, Michigan tonight. One of my favorite rivalry games. I've never been flipped off by more 8-year-olds than rolling up on those buses into the big house in Ann Arbor. So expect all the usual, throw out the record books, rivalry stuff here. Michigan certainly licking their wounds after that loss on the road in Happy Valley. But expect a sloppy track where anything can happen tonight. Unfortunately for Michigan, that does bode well for Notre Dame. Michigan has put the ball on the ground the 3rd most in the country this year. 10 fumbles in the running game this year versus Notre Dame on the other side, top 4 in forced fumbles, forcing 9 on the year. I think Khalid Kareem, Julian Okwara, these great DNs for Notre Dame. And then offensively in the red zone, I'm keeping an eye on Notre Dame tight end Cole Kmet, future top flight NFL player, really helped settle down Ian Book when he came back on the road against Georgia earlier this season. Wet track, physical football game. I like Notre Dame tonight. Keep those playoff hopes alive. Let's go, Irish.
As we continue to prep you for our primetime matchup between Notre Dame and Michigan, we got to give you a little something we call today's lesson, brought to you by Dos Equis. And that is also brought to you by one Dan Orlovsky. What you got for us?
Dan Orlovsky here with the College Football Show, and today's lesson is about tonight's Notre Dame-Michigan matchup. Number one, Notre Dame's defensive backs versus the Michigan wide receivers in their pass game. A lot of size, and the ball's going to go downfield. Make a lot of contested plays on the back end. Number two, Ian Book, quarterback for Notre Dame. Michigan's going to bring pressure and play man-to-man coverage. You have to understand, ball has to get out of your hands and get it out before pressure gets home. And that's today's lesson.
Today's lesson was brought to you by Dos Equis, who reminds you to roll in their college football college. Win in any football argument with a football watching degree from their online school. Classes in session at dosequis.com/edu. From the studio out to the field, Maria Taylor joining us. And we just gonna work through it. This is the College Football Show presented by AT&T. Trevor Scales, Harry Douglas, Christine Williams holding this down. And we will kind of get back into the primetime matchup discussion as it gets ready to kick off in about 2 minutes or so over on ABC. But as we kind of look to this matchup, we talk a lot of macro for the Wolverines, but let's talk about this matchup specifically. Like Gojo mentioned, the Notre Dame defense can turn the ball over. They have forced all kinds of fumbles throughout this season, and we know the lack of identity that we've seen from the Michigan Wolverines offensively. Who do you like in this matchup specifically?
I like Notre Dame, and I'm a little biased because I'm close friends with their offensive coordinator, Chip Long. I spent a lot of time with him. I know how he thinks. We think alike, and he does a lot of great things. I really thought he should have got a head coaching job last year, but if he didn't get one last year, I think he's going to get one either next year or the year after that. So, but they just have playmakers. They have Claypool, they have Fink, they have McKinley, they have Tony Jones Jr. They have all these guys on offense. They have the tight ends. They have offensive linemen, 2 or 3 of them that's going to play in the NFL to the next level. So I think these guys are going to pound Michigan. They're going to own the line of scrimmage. But when you look at the opposite side, they have a lot of NFL prospects on defense also. These guys are very, very good in the secondary. They can play man-to-man against anybody. You've seen it against Georgia. And I just think they're going to have Michigan turn the football over, something that they have had a problem doing this year already. Without
question. I think for me, it is a matter. I'm going to go with Notre Dame as well. We talked about the recruiting earlier and how there's a disparity between Michigan and Ohio State. That disparity disappears when they line up against Notre Dame. It's a lot more evenly matched. And what I see offensively from the Notre Dame offense is a lot more clear, and we understand what Ian Book is going to offer and the tools that he has around him. He has a certain command that I don't think Shea Patterson has shown a propensity to have throughout the entire season just yet. So we'll see exactly what can come out of that game. But before we kind of get any further and before they kick off, let's check in with Maria because I think she was down on the field. We got to make sure she's clear before we move on any further.
All right, guys, weather report here in Ann Arbor. Obviously, it's pouring down rain, and the wind is kind of whipping, and it's a little chilly, but both teams are now on the field. We've got Notre Dame, Ian Book warming up right here. The Wolverines, we just kind of came to the center of the field. One thing we're going to keep an eye on is whether or not Shea Patterson, quarterback for Michigan, decides to wear a glove or not. How will this weather affect both of these teams' offense? We'll find out real soon.
Thank you, Maria, very much. We appreciate you checking in. Live from the big house. Let's move into what's going on, and it comes to you out of the SEC. Alabama taking on Arkansas, and our job here on the College Football Show presented by AT&T is to get you caught up on all things happening, going down right now, and this is something that goes down right now, and it is a scoop score by the Alabama defense. So as we talk about what exactly they need performances by, I think we left that out, right? And when it comes to the defense and what they can do is stepping up to the plate, that's one thing that Mac Jones can lean on too.
Well, I'll tell you this. They have guys on the other side of the ball. You have big Raekwon Davis. You have Diggs at corner. You have McKinney at safety. These guys can really play the game of football the right way and the way Nick Saban wants these guys to play. And it was a couple years ago where Alabama would get in trouble. But guess what you can count on? That defense getting a fumble return for a touchdown, that defense getting an interception return for a touchdown. You've seen it last week against the Tennessee Volunteers when they went in to score. You've seen Diggs take it all the way back 103 yards.
That's exactly right.
You see it right now.
They can
start
swing.
This game
they
off.
can swing a game in their favor.
They can take the life out of you just like that.
And so you sure you don't have him at number 1? I just wanted to check back in.
I know exactly.
I wanted to check back in.
I know exactly who he's looking at.
I just wanted to
make sure he was.
Sorry, I just.
I had Alabama number one.
But the only reason why I say that because they're one injury away from not. You know what I mean? For being
without question.
Exactly.
Without question. Like they are
injuries for Tua.
They have an embarrassment of riches, but it is a matter of making sure that everything holds pat so they can continue to be on the run that they are on. So are we moving on to who takes the real? Go ahead, fire that really dramatic animation. That front end animation is so clean. Look at that. It's like
it is very dramatic.
It is very dramatic.
It's violent almost.
It is, and we are going to talk a little bit about violence on the College Football Show presented by AT&T. Hey, look, you offered the segue. I just did it. Not my fault. Concept is who takes the real L, and that is like in real life. So, right, we talk about plenty between the lines, on the gridiron, the numbers, the nuance, everything that goes into a college football game. But let's separate ourselves from that a little bit. Let's talk, let's get esoteric, if you will, right? It's a little SAT word for you. Let's talk about the mascots and the matchup that they propose and who would win in an actual battle of the mascots. So it's very simple. We have signs down here. We got all the mascots lined up.
Everybody good?
And everybody just got to offer an explanation as to who's taking what in each of these matchups. So we'll start this thing off easily. Texas State Bobcats taking on the Arkansas State Red Wolves. And frankly, when I saw these here options, right, like you see the Red Wolf here, it is very red. I did not do any research prior to this. I just saw a Red Wolf and said, that looks demonic. It looks like it would take anything that had to do with a Bobcat and thrash it. So I'm going to go with the Red Wolf. So now your turn here. What you got on this one?
If I had to choose between a Bobcat and a Red Wolf, I'm going to go with the red and black because my colors my entire life have been red and black. I'm from Georgia.
Yeah.
I'm from Atlanta. But I think the chances in the wild, the Red Wolf will take over.
Okay, fair enough. Christine, what you got on this one?
Okay, so Treavor said that he didn't do any research. I actually did do some research.
You're just going to call me out.
I went ahead and looked to see what a Red Wolf was, and I went to go see what a Bobcat was. They're both basically like a dog and a cat, all right? So, technically, in that fight, a dog would win, so I'm going to go on and take the Red Wolves.
Are you a dog person in general as well?
I'm a cat person. I have a cat.
Wow. So your cat probably feels slighted. So congratulations.
Your pet
what's
is
your cat's
more
name?
aggressive, typically. It's Giuseppe.
Giuseppe.
That's such a fun. I love it all.
You see me in my Giuseppe suit.
Exactly. That's why I named her that.
Next matchup, and who takes the real L? Colorado State Rams taking on the Fresno State Bulldogs. And I don't know if everybody's caught up on everything that went down in the Sugar Bowl last year. It was unfortunate for my dogs. Bevo came out before the game even started and ran Ugga up off the field. So by that logic, anything with horse is probably going to trounce a Bulldog. So I'm going with the Colorado State Rams here. Here, what you got?
Well, I follow Natural Geographics on my Twitter. I follow Things in the Wild on my Twitter.
Nature is scary, yes, all that
I see these
stuff.
Rams ramming each other like a car crash.
Yes.
Like two trains running into each other. So
Correct.
I'm going to have to go with the Rams. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry,
fair.
Bulldog.
Christine.
All right, if we go specifically with these mascots, I'm going to go against what you guys are saying. This one looks very peaceful. This one looks like it will take you. So I'm going to go with the Bulldog.
Is it peaceful or is it just stoic, knowing that it could mess you up at any given moment?
It's stoic, but it also looks like it doesn't want any problems. You know what I'm saying?
What about the Bulldog is
this
impressive?
Bulldog looks like it wants some problems.
Yes.
It's coming for you.
It is a
We're talking about
particularly
Ugga. Ugga
brawling.
wasn't really ready.
The Bulldog needs to do yoga. He's too strong.
Yeah, his toes all turning. He's bow-legged.
Exactly.
Like,
He need to get more flexible.
he's got some mobility issues. I'm not ready to take the Bulldog in that one. I'm sorry.
He can't even straighten out his arm.
I believe in the Bulldog in this one.
You know what? That's fair. Who am I to question your mascot logic?
Exactly.
Next one up, all feline matchup. Kentucky Wildcats taking on the Mizzou Tigers.
This is easy.
Is it now?
This is easy.
Okay, well, I am interested to hear how this is easy because, frankly, I have a tough time differentiating between the two. So, frankly, I'm just going to do an eeny, miny, miny, mo in my head as I filibuster for a little bit and then ended up winding up on the Kentucky Wildcats.
Okay.
That's what we're going with.
First of all, I went to Louisville. I wouldn't dare get caught holding no Kentucky Wildcat sign ever. The disrespect will stop here and here right now.
Perfect.
All right, so since it's two cats, I'm going to go with Kentucky also. This one is cuter.
Cuter.
And yes, it's cuter. It's just
Cuter.
better. It's better. We didn't say what they had to win and how they had to win.
No, we didn't.
Necessarily. It wasn't necessarily a fight. I know it was violent at the beginning.
You set it
but,
up like that.
So is it who plays the violin better? What are we talking about
Just who's
here,
cuter?
Steve?
Who's cuter?
Okay. Again, who am I to question your logic? So similar to a track that Harry Douglas had on the previous entry, I have Harvard versus Princeton. For those who don't know, I played a little ball at the best academic institution in all of the land, and that is Harvard. So you can just go ahead and get this up out here. I don't care that we're only a color. That is not my concern. I don't have to have any logic behind it. I'm just riding with them. So there it is.
Don't y'all have that print?
Why would you do that? Now you're just being problematic,
I don't need
Harry.
an explanation,
You're just
Treavor.
being problematic.
I want to go against the grain.
But like you're being problematic.
I
want to
go against the grain. You see how uneasy
we
he
could have
is right
all
now?
been friends
He's
here.
very uneasy right now.
I'm heated.
He's
I'm not
very
uneasy.
uneasy
I'm
right
heated. I'm heated. I'm angry. Christine, just please.
All right, I'm going to go with Harvard also.
Thank
Not
you.
necessarily because of Treavor, though, because y'all's mascot is scary looking.
What is the mascot? A
Don't y'all
shield?
have a, don't y'all have a
So we
print?
used to have a thing called John Harvard. I
Yes,
don't know
John
what happened to
Harvard.
him.
John
Is the
Har-
shield
well,
a mascot?
That thing looks scary. I don't
He
like
was
when
a- he
human-
was- he
I don't
was
like when
wild creepy.
mascots have human faces.
Okay, I mean that's fair. I
What's
think we
the
had.
It's
mascot?
very strange.
It's a guy named John Harvard.
just a
I don't.
man.
It's just a regular dude.
A man.
Just
And
a
it's-
man, huh?
Yeah.
Just a guy.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
a guy.
No wonder I threw it down on the ground.
That's
I
it.
tell you.
You don't have to double down on the disrespect. I feel slighted on my own show. This is not great. This is the College Football Show presented by AT&T. Treavor Scales, Harry Douglas, and Christine Williamson. Join us here on the program on Twitter, YouTube Live, and the ESPN app. We got a little something that we like to call Holy Cow. We are a family program, so we can't say Holy Bleep. We just use the moves and say Holy Cow. It is our top play segment. It's how we kind of get you the best available. Good Lord. Words are difficult.
Available.
It's hard.
Thank
it's
you.
hard.
You want to just best available video. Yeah, Harry got it. I'm going to just let him host the show. See, he done rattled me by choosing Princeton over Harvard. I just feel so disrespected. I can't even contain myself. In any case, let's just get to the highlight because clearly I don't have a clue as to what's going on. Kansas State and Oklahoma, the upset of the day. And this here was just all bad for the Sooners. It's a trick play that starts with Jalen Hurts pitching it to Nick Baskin, who tries to throw it to Charleston Rambo, but that doesn't end up who catches it. That's not who ends up catching it. It winds up in a Kansas State defender's hand. And it's just, I am embarrassed for the wide receiver because, like, why exactly are you putting all that into a throw that's a gadget play? You see that that's not what the play was designed to do. Don't try to gun that in
I'll
there.
tell you one thing, boy. You give somebody $1, they want 20. You give him an opportunity to showcase his talents, and he takes advantage of it.
Yes.
Throws the ball as hard as he could. Just
Right.
throw the ball to the receiver. But
Lob it, give him a little.
all
air
jokes
underneath.
aside, the receiver still should have caught the football.
That's fair. That's fair. It
Sure,
was
sure.
right in
No
the
matter
it was right in the breadbasket. But in any case, my score for this 50 because it was frankly the lowest I could go. We might, first time I howl at you, we might have to get a 0 in this mug next time because like it was bad. I didn't like any of it. That was just, thank you. Thank you for telling me that it was noted. Thank you. I appreciate that. I feel heard. I feel respected again. Harry, do you have another Holy Cow for us?
Yes, I do. We're going to move right along. We're going to go to Texas A&M. They have a receiver who is strong, who is powerful,
Yes.
named Kendrick Rogers.
Yes.
Kendrick Rogers is going to catch this slant route, a.k.a. 5-yard under route. He's going to take it. The defender think he's tackled.
Right.
No, I've been in the weight room. No, I'm a grown man. No, you're a little boy. No, yes, I've scored.
That is
Touchdown.
an incredible crib call. Your man's like the determination to get through there, got the hand down. That's the drill, getting all that in there and just
right.
fighting his way in there, man. That's impressive. That's impressive.
You must make that tackle if you're the defender.
Oh, yeah, everybody had him
that
wrapped up.
is horrible defense. That's horrible.
All
defense.
kinds of terrible. You got to score for us.
Do I have a score?
Yes.
We go 0 to 100 real quick, right?
Whoa.
Throw a little
Okay.
Drake in there.
100.
Okay.
One. Not 100. 100.
Okay.
We have a 100.
See, so all right, look.
Trevor's
You are free to score things as you please, but I have to say, I feel like that score is indicative of it cannot get any better. Are you sure that play cannot get any better?
And I tell you this, how often do you see that happen?
Not often, but like
So
often
that's my
enough.
point exactly.
But like it's like often enough. You've seen cats shed tackles
We
like
grow
that.
up to be different. Right?
Man, listen.
We don't grow up to be like people. We grow up to be different. Make our own mark, make our own staple, who we want to be. That young man just made his own staple. That may be one of the top plays in college football this year alone.
I feel like we just got real existential there, and I wasn't expecting it to. Like, I just didn't think it was 100. I just didn't think it was that. I don't know. Christine, do you have a play for us?
I do have a play. All right, we're gonna go to ECU. Tyler Snead on the kickoff return. He's going to pick it up at the 1 yard line, and then he's going to turn on the gas.
Boost.
Look
Why?
at this. Shook,
Excuse me.
A little juke action.
Most important
all
part.
the way
Yeah.
to the end zone.
See, look. See?
Okay,
See?
touchdown.
He almost got caught.
He scored.
He almost got caught. He got walked down.
He
He got walked down.
And I was going to say all gas, no brakes, but he
Like,
started to fade.
he let it off the gas a little bit. He
He's tired. He probably wasn't expecting all
You
that.
out here making
you know what I'm
excuses.
saying?
Get the little oxygen thing on the sideline. He need the
Look
oxygen.
at you. Look at you.
Oxygen
All right,
mask.
so for my Holy Cow Moo rating, I gave it a 99.
Oh my
We
goodness.
just handing out A
Okay, but
grades.
you
Like,
just
what are
said-
we
You
doing?
just said it started at 50. I didn't even realize it started at 50. So technically, it's 50 to 100.
No, it's not. No
a
different.
99.
You see the scale. You know daggone well.
A
That was
99
out of
isn't
pocket.
really that much.
That's
Out of
just
pocket.
like Miami with the record they have.
Oh,
still,
wow.
still passing out turnover
Wow.
chains. Just in case anybody went to the University of Miami.
Wow. Okay, well, hold on. Let's just talk about this turnover chain.
No. We gonna move on because somebody's feelings got hurt. Bruh, it's the next element, and that's where we need to go, like right now. Like just fire the animation whenever you can. Oh, you know what? I was so excited to get up out of here because I was so terrified for Christine. No, one more moment. It is actually one of my favorite plays of the day. Tyler Goodson, the Iowa running back, gets a heck of a pass pro rep in, which brings this 50-yard touchdown for Iowa in their win over Northwestern today. And again, a heck of a pass pro rep. Don't none of this happen if he doesn't step into there and make sure he covers his gap and gets his pass protection responsibility. So I'm gonna make sure I show love to this here in the Holy Cow segment.
Kids, you want to play the next level.
For sure.
Kids, you want to play in the NFL.
Yep.
Kids, you want to be a star. You have to block without the ball in your hand.
That's what it is.
You have to be able to do everything. You have to be a 3-down back. You have to be able to make these plays so the receivers can score touchdowns. So the receivers
So the receiver, that's the button that we actually gonna put on that one. My score is actually, shout out to the receiver next to me. Harry Douglas is number 83. That I feel like, see, again, I have perspective on these plays. I'm not just out here excited as all outdoors at any good play that's made on a football field. I'm gonna actually have some real nuance to my grading.
I have nothing to say because you gave it an 83, so I respect it 100%.
You said kids, you gave the kids some advice. Kids also listen to your mama, right?
Yes.
You're right about
His
that.
mom tweeted and said, Mama told him Nate better not get sacked at his expense again or he couldn't come back home.
I love that mama there.
Mama a real one.
Listen to your
Listen,
mom.
son, don't
Mama
think
real.
you can't ride home with me, son. Go catch that bus.
Don't screw up that pass pro rep
catch
because
that
you ain't
bus,
coming
son.
home for the holidays. Game is the game.
No sweet potato pie for you, boy.
Look, all the bad moments that we will continue to roll on through this college football show presented by AT&T. It is the not top plays portion. Bruh, it's the simple explanation for each and every one of these plays. It's just when you react to it, all you can muster up is a good old bruh. And we begin with, once again, Kansas State. Shout out to them just kind of being all off in this show for good reason with the upset victory today. But we have to kind of call into question TJ Pleasure. He took a sky kick and thought he was about to go somewhere with it. Unfortunately, he fumbled, which was just part of the disarray that the Oklahoma Sooners were in all day and kind of led to, again, the biggest upset this week in the AP Top 25. So, bro, what you doing? Where do you think you going?
Bro, where are you going with 100 bodies in front of you?
100.
Bruh, why did you have to be a contributor to your team losing? Bruh, why did you have to try to ruin Jalen Hurts' Heisman candidate?
It's all bad. It's all bad. Next up bro, we head out to we continue with the Big Ten. Purdue's punter, spread formation, right? And, buddy. So, all right.
Was it raining?
I think it was raining.
I don't care if it was.
But that's no excuse.
A little bit.
Evidently, Christine Williamson is here to just make excuses for all the players. Like, I found that out.
Wet.
Oh, no. That's he was trying to get an end-over-end look. I get that. But, buddy, you got one job and you can't even do that right. I know your hands were wiped off before the play. You got a towel hanging down between you. Like, figure it out, buddy.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
Scholarships are yearly. Bruh, after this year, your scholarship is revoked.
Wow.
Sorry.
Wow.
That is real. That got unbelievably real.
Wow.
Penn State. That's the last one we're going to go to.
I like this.
I do.
I like this guy a lot.
It says in the I love it. This Penn State fan just dancing by himself in the rain. All kinds of inclement weather down there in East Lansing. It ain't pretty for anybody, but evidently this fan. He's having a good old time by his lonesome. Hey, you know what? I'm here for the happiness. I know Christina's here for the happiness
I'm always
as well.
here for that.
Harry, what
Always
you got
here.
on this here? You over here gigging yourself. I like it.
I need the camera on me. Bruh,
What's in the mood?
check this one out. Bruh, you are my spirit animal.
I love it.
I love that 100%.
You got
He
to.
loves football. He loves his team. Doesn't matter what the score is. I just love, you can tell that young man right there is happy about life, happy to just be living, period.
Gotta
and
love
I love people like that 100%.
Appreciate it thoroughly. Got to, man. So shout out to all those cats that appeared in the bruh moments, man. We got a little bit of jokes off, but just understand it's all love here on the College Football Show. Christine, what you got for us over there?
All right, so I've been practicing my man.
Oh.
Give me that.
Coming for
so
the
you
job
already know
for
what time
real.
it is.
Let's
It's
go.
time for man, give me that. We're gonna take a look at the best catches of the day. Wow.
Gary's mating call.
That was Gary. That was actually Gary. All right, the first one. Jack Cohen, a 26-yard pass to AJ Taylor for a TD. Did I miss my man? Give me that. All right. Well, I'm gonna say what the caller for this game said. He said that's how you put the biscuit in the basket. I don't know what that means.
Yeah. See, even as a country boy, I ain't got nothing for that.
No idea.
One. Like,
No idea what that means.
I had
No idea what
never heard that idiom. I don't know how it translates,
must be-
how it came about.
You put biscuits in baskets. If you go on a
Do you?
picnic, you're putting biscuits in baskets.
I'm just excited that Cohen actually hit him on the play because
That's
he had
true,
a 3rd
that's
and 5 in the game. And I said if they didn't make this 3rd and 5, this game is going to turn around right here. They didn't get it. Ohio State went on a run. But shout out to the Cats. We call that route a Dumbo route. I ran that route a lot in the NFL with Matt Ryan. A little fade from the slot position. Dumbo. Give me that signal right there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hit the DB with
Little
that right there.
Let them know.
Straight to the pylon, baby. That's where we're going.
Unfortunately, that was the only 7-point scored by the Badgers. Christine.
The second one, we go to San Jose State versus Army. San Jose State wide receiver Bailey Gaither made an almost impossible catch. He went on and hugged his receiver and then said, "Man, give me that."
Look, man, this here.
A touchdown.
The concentration on this here. I like
you.
Get a quick hug and yes, I love that.
Quick little hug.
He just let him know what he was about. He probably whispered in his ear, "You know I'm about to sile on you, right?"
Exactly.
That's
That's exactly
like,
what
just
happened.
robbed him.
Hey, let me tell you what's about to happen.
I'm going to tell y'all what I love about
Watch
it.
this real fast.
What you got?
Let me tell you what I love about it. You watch Martin, right?
Oh, yeah.
You watch Martin, right?
Uh-huh.
You remember the show when he was dancing? He was like, the knees, the knees.
I don't know what that is.
I love that he made the catch with it on his knees, the knees, the knees, the knees. I love it.
All right, third up. Liberty.
Oh, this one here. Yeah, I saw this one on Twitter. This one was good.
Antonio Gandy Golden hauls in the 100 OBJ-esque catch. Fights off the defender for the touchdown.
Defender grabbing him.
Man,
That's an
give
and
me
one.
that.
Pass interference.
And one.
and everything.
Give
And
me
one.
that for the touchdown.
That's the one-hand joint, like just reeling it in, the stab. I don't think he touched the ball with his right hand whatsoever on that play. It was a one-handed touchdown, all that stuff. That's a good note to end on for man.
I'm gonna coach him up.
Yeah,
I'm gonna coach him up.
Okay, real quick. Yeah, go ahead.
After you make a catch like that, you got to show some excitement. You got to look at the DB. Oh, get out of here.
But earlier in the show, you said you got to act like you've been there before.
But I'm saying, when you make a play like that,
then you can act like you ain't never been there before.
You stand over him, you walk over him.
That's fair. All right, look, you got to
disrespect him.
Harry is here to coach y'all up, so just listen to Harry, man.
Disrespectful.
He done did it. He done did it. Drip of the day, new segment that we got going on. We check out all the uniforms of the day and our favorites from amongst the college football space. And frankly, I think we had a little bit of a warning courtesy of Gear Up this morning on SportsCenter. And I think you got a little bit of a hometown bias, but I believe I'll start this thing off. Is that how we're going to go? Okay, that's fine. No, yeah, we can kind of do this. So, so here it goes. Again, drip of the day, your uniform, your best uniforms of the day. So what goes into a good-looking uniform for you before we kind of reveal what we have?
For me, helmet and socks.
Okay.
I just like monochromatic outfits.
Really?
All one color. I'm really into that.
That's fair. So my pick is up, rolling right now. The black shirts, as the Nebraska defense is affectionately called during practice, they kind of implemented the uniform look, and it helps when you got an interest as hard as this one, right? Shut down the lights, kind of get them turned up in the tunnel, and they out there wild. So here's your boys. What you got on this one?
Listen, I don't think the red and black has ever been worn like this. The black tops with the red shorts, red helmets.
It's clean.
My goodness, why do y'all wait till I leave the University of Louisville to have these different combinations?
Game is the game.
I love what you're doing, Louisville. I love what you're doing.
What you got, Christine,
All
here?
right, TCU. I just found this interesting. I don't really think that this looks necessarily very good, but TCU had a little red in their uniforms, and I wanted to ask you guys, what you think the red's for? You know that's not one of their colors, right? What do you think the red is for on their uniform?
No clue.
I think giving blood.
Giving blood.
Donate
It is
blood.
It is related to blood, but that's actually really good, like for a cause.
Yeah.
It's not for a cause. So the Horned Frogs, actually, their mascot is a real thing. It's a horned frog, and it shoots blood out of its eye to its predators. That's why they have red on
Is
their
it going to kill the
uniforms.
predators, though?
No, it's just trying to scare it away.
Please
I'm not
don't
sure
make
if it
me laugh.
works, but that's why they have red on their uniforms.
Oh, God.
Listen, that is one hell of a note to end this bad boy on. Like,